Hello, and welcome to the Pest Control Marketing Podcast with your host, me, Hal Coleman, uncensored and unplugged. Pay attention, take lots of notes, because you're going to find out exactly how to get more new customers, more referrals, and grow your business.
Hal Coleman has been active in the pest control industry for over 40 years, including owning and operating his own successful pest control business for 18 years. He now devotes his time to helping other PCOs and other WCOs double, triple, and even quadruple their businesses faster than they ever imagined. Be sure to check out his website, pestcontrolmarketer.com. For more information about Hal's coaching program, you can reach him at 770-993-0004 or email him hal@halcoleman.com. Mike Stewart is known as the Internet audio and video guy. Since the birth of the Internet, Mike has been showing small business owners how to get more new customers, increase their sales, and grow their businesses online using audio and video, now with iPhones and Android phones. For more information about Mike's coaching program and his online training courses, visit MikeStewartCoaching.com or email him mike@internetaudioguide.com.
Well, hello, this is Hal Coleman, and welcome to another episode of the Pest Control Marketing Podcast. I'm here representing Mr. Offline, and I'm here with Mr. Online, Mike Stewart. I hope. Are you here, Mike?
I'm here online. I don't know if I'm offline anymore these days, but right now for today, I'm existing in the virtual world of audio, online, podcasting, and live streaming, and all the things that I love, Hal. So good to be here, buddy.
There you go. Me too. And I'm sitting here today excited because talking is what I like to do. At least my wife says so. And I got somebody I really want to talk to as our guest today, the one and only legendary, the bug doctor original, Jerry Schappert. How are you doing, Jerry?
Hal, Mike, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on. This is a real honor and a treat.
Oh, listen, I'm excited because you had me on a podcast a while back, and we had so much fun. I said, man, I got to get Jerry back over here to continue our conversation.
Yeah, we sure did. It's like we're old fishing buddies or something.
Ain't that the truth? And when I come down there, we're going to really become fishing buddies.
You know what an online guy does when there's two bug guys in the house?
What's he do?
He mutes his microphone and listens. Bye.
Good. Get out of here, Mike. You don't know anything about bugs. Jerry, listen, I'm so excited, and I've got a million things I want to cover in this brief 4-hour podcast.
Let me grab lunch.
I know a lot of our followers may not. I say a lot of them. I'd be surprised if anybody wasn't familiar with you, but I know there are people out there in different areas of pest control that may not be really familiar with you and your business and your story and Pest Cemetary and everything. So would you indulge me and just take a few minutes and tell everybody the story of Jerry Schappert? How'd you become the bug guy? How did Pest Cemetary come about? I mean, tell us your story.
I will. I'll start with the bug doctor first, since it predates Pest Cemetary, but it rolls right with it. And, I started back in 1984 in Baltimore. And I was a short order cook and hated my life. I mean, I was in a sweat box of a little kitchen. The only window was where people could look in and watch me make their sandwiches. And I'm in a long sleeve shirt, PPE, and just sweating and hating life and putting those sandwiches together and putting them in a bag. And the line would go around the corner, Hal. I kid you not. And I guess people liked my sandwiches. So I was making, I don't know, about $12 an hour at the time, which way back then was awesome. But had a lot of bills and everything. And so it wasn't enough. And I wanted to get out of this job anyway. So the owners owned a little place across the street, little vegetable stand. And I walked over there one day and looked at the line and said, this is it. And I devised a little scheme that I was going to ask for a raise that they couldn't afford, and that would force them to get rid of me, and then I could go elsewhere because I'm not a quitter. Well, I went over there. My plan backfired. They gave me the raise. And so I was stuck being a short order cook for that spring. But I had a friend call me and he said, do you want to make $11 an hour? And I'm like, well, I make 14 now. Why would I do that? Well, it came with a truck. And that's all I needed to hear. If it came with a truck, that freed me up so much. And it was in pest control. And I had no idea. I've never seen a bug guy before. We never had one in my home growing up in Iowa. But I walked into the Terminex office in Wilso Drive in Baltimore. And Hal, it was like the most important people in the world were in that room. They had their little green ties on. They were chuckling and laughing. They had papers in their hand. They really looked like they had a purpose. And I said to myself, I've got to be a part of this. I just have to be a part of this. And the branch manager hired me that day. And that was in the late spring of '84. And by the fall, I finally got that little truck because I went through a bunch of training and everything, and it took a while. But, boy, the rest is history. I just started loving the industry, loving what I did, and actually helping people, and it was just fantastic. And I write about it quite a bit in my books and in my blog. And I learned so many lessons early on from so many great people. And later decided, this online thing came around and I was excited about blogging and my 14 clicks a day. And most of those were from my mother saying, good job, son. Nice article. And I was looking around for a way to get my blog more well known. And my blog was, of course, named Pest Cemetary, a name that my son thought of. And this Facebook idea came up, start a group on Facebook.
So you were doing Pest Cemetary while you were with Terminex?
Oh no, I'm sorry. Well, I skipped ahead. I did a quantum leap for you. I left Baltimore in 1989 and moved to Florida and started with a company here. And hell, my dreams were shattered for a few years because the companies that I went to work for were just subpar. Can I just say that? I mean, it's a family podcast.
Sure. Yeah. We all know what you mean.
Oh, and I could only last 3 months. Another one I lasted for a year because I had to get the year experience here in Florida so I could test. I was certified in Florida in everything except fumigation. Like I said, I love learning. And so as soon as I got my certification here in Florida, I went ahead and decided to go out on my own. But the bug doctor was not the first thing I did on my own. I actually started in a little franchise, which is now defunct, so I can name it. It was Allstate, and they were a huge franchise where all us bug guys, disgruntled bug guys, would pay our money, and then we would drive our own vehicles. So there were Pintos out there, Jeeps. One guy had a Cadillac. And we were doing bug control out of all of our own vehicles, paying our own insurance and buying our own chemicals, all under their certifications and licenses. Well, apparently that was kind of frowned on, and there were a lot of things going, under the rug kind of thing. And I lasted about a year and a half there. I became the branch manager, which was just a fancy title of Jerry, can you collect all the paperwork? And so I had meetings at my house every week, collected the paperwork, sent in the checks, and finally just realized that too was a subpar, again, trying to be politically correct, operation, and decided to go out on my own. And while I was at a customer's house, I'll never forget a Mr. Bird. I think he might have passed by now. He was one of my customers in my franchise. And I told him of my desire to go on my own, and he was British. And I said, I don't know what to call myself. And he said, why don't you call yourself the bug doctor? And your slogan could be, all my patients die.
I love it.
I kind of like that.
I love it. That's great.
And so part of the franchise deal is if you ever went on your own, you could take all your old customers with you. So I started with about 30 or 40 paying customers. But I also started with about 80 or 90 non-paying customers because as the branch manager, all these people that sucked the living out of some poor old fortunate folks, they would, get the money up front, suddenly had no vendor because they left town or went out of business or quit the franchise. And I just couldn't quit on them. I couldn't do that to them. So for the next year and a half, I did a slew of customers free of charge on my own dime until the time came around for them to renew. And a bunch of them stayed with me. So actually, I've had a lot of customers that have been with me before the Bug Doctor was even born. And that was in July of 1993.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Now, I'm sitting here thinking for anybody who's listening and wonders how somebody gets to be the head of a successful company, there's a story behind it. They all have a story behind it, and a lot of people go into business, not only in pest control, but any business, and they see the owner that they're working for, but they don't know the owner's story. There's a story there, and that's why a lot of people don't succeed when they go on their own, because they didn't know the story and they didn't realize what they were up against and what they were going to have to do to ultimately get to where that person was. Does that make sense?
That makes complete sense. And I will tell you, I did not know anybody's story. I saw some of the successful guys here in town and just knew I needed to be like them. But boy, how, some of the people on the forums, they're rock stars. They just take off and they do so well. I want to say it took me 3 years just to hit 60,000 in a year. So I was not the rock star, and no excuses because others were doing it, but we didn't have the internet back then. A lot of us, it was still phone book ads and things like that. And I was just a slow starter, but I stuck with it. Like I said, I'm not one to give up.
Yeah, I know you're not. Well, one thing you'll agree with, I'm sure, is those people that just take off and grow, they're not spending the bulk amount of their time learning how to kill bugs dead, or they're spending the bulk of their amount of time learning how to become better marketers.
Yeah, I agree. But there's such wisdom in that too. Work on your business and not in. And that's a lesson that took me a long time to learn. I guess I needed a coach like you to bring that out of me, but it was forever coming.
God, I needed a coach like me for 15 of the 18 years I was in business. The last 3, I had a coach. I ran into Larry Latimer, who you've probably heard me talk about, but he changed my life. He was a direct response marketer, and he spoke at conventions and talked about selling and motivation and things. He had a set of, back then it was cassettes called Building a Better You, and it was like 8 cassettes, and he gave me those and took me under his wing, and we kind of started using my pest control business as somewhat of a guinea pig.
Oh, okay.
He'd show me, he would say, well, let me show you what to do. Let me show you how to make direct mail work. Let me show you how to get somebody to say yes to you 5 times in 30 seconds and then give you a commitment to do business. He began just teaching me all of these psychological things. And, really, it's not so much about how to get somebody to say yes to you as it is keeping them from saying no to you.
Gotcha.
I tell people if you've ever had somebody say, well, this looks good, but I don't know. Let me think about this for a while. Let me think about this. That's the last thing you want them to do is have to think about it. But you really kind of got them confused if they had to think about it in most cases.
That's true.
Anyway, so it's learning all this stuff, and you've learned a lot, and you've got now. Tell us a little bit about Pest Cemetary, because this thing blows me away. It's just incredible.
Well, I'm extremely blessed with the Facebook group Pest Cemetary and all the fellowship and friends that I now have because of this group. And I started it, like I said, I think it was January of 2010, and it was mainly a vehicle for my blog to get more clicks, get more people reading my articles. And it started very, very slow. It took forever to hit 100 members, and it was an open group. So anybody could join. So I had some paintball friends. I had some other people. Oh yeah, I'll join your group, or maybe I clicked them in. And it wasn't until some gal who was a professional pest controller said, I'd like to share on this group, but it's open to my potential customers, and I don't really want to do that. So I took a big chance, a big risk, because I figured I didn't understand Facebook, still really don't. But closing the group sounded so final to me. And I thought, well, this is it. And so I closed it. And then I started vetting as best I could with, making sure it's just bug people, and slowly started booting some people out that really didn't belong. And all of a sudden it just started growing, and it went for back then kind of ballistic. I mean, we got up to about 400 or 500 members, and we made a great big deal about it. And suddenly, Hal, people were making designs for me for, the logo and songs. And someone made me an interactive map where you could put your little icon, and the map still exists today, but it's locked out since the original owner, we can't find him. And I tried to take it over, but, there are members literally, and this was 5 years ago, almost in every hemisphere of the world. It blew me away. England, Australia, Alaska, everywhere. So if we were to update that map now, of course, it would really be mind-boggling. But here we are, just going along. And I never thought, I thought maybe when we hit 1,000 members, we would kind of level off. But it just rolled past that, rolled past 2,000. Got up to 5,000, and it really started kicking into where we were adding sometimes 100 members a month. And like this month already, I think we're up to 80 some. And I get so blessed to hear quotes or references to Pest Cemetary at CEU meetings, professors, entomologists, speakers all saying, hey, I learned this from Pest Cemetary. You got to get in this. So it has taken on a life of its own, and we now have over 10,000 members, which is just phenomenal to me. And we've gone on cruises. We've done seminars. You and I have done a seminar in Orlando. Most of those folks were Pest Cemetary. And we're planning another, which I don't know if I should have let the cat out of the bag, but there it is. And it's just crazy to me. I'm having a party here at my house, and these are people from my town that are competitors, and not one of us brings up oh, you undercut me, or what's your price? We're all fellowshipping and like-minded, and we're all just friends in the industry. And so I could call someone and they would help me out, or they could call me and I would do the same. Whereas maybe 10, 15 years ago, that would not be the case. We all seem to be enemies. So it has taken on a real life of its own, and I want to believe that it has fostered some great and wonderful things in the industry.
Oh, believe me, it is an amazing resource. I've had a few technical questions here about things around my house that, I haven't killed a bug other than with a fly swatter now in about 13 years. But, and I got a bug assault gun too. So,
there you go.
Man, I tell you, carpenter bees and flies around here, they don't have good things to say about me and my bug assault.
I'm sure.
Other than that, so when I have a question, I don't even know I'm not up to date on all the new products and regulations and everything else. So I just throw it out there on Pest Cemetary every now and then, and it's amazing the response, an immediate response. Yes. I mean, it's like, how did that person? As I said, so I came to the conclusion that nobody that's in Pest Cemetary works. They just sit there waiting to answer somebody's question.
I've wondered that myself a few times, boy, I tell you. But people are ready to help for the most part, ready to give, and that's the whole attitude and whole thing I've tried to encourage all this time. And, I have my off days where I might snip or snap and someone else, but it all comes back down to we're all in this together. Let's keep learning together. And it's really, really great when it's all clicking and great.
It really is. And your story is, that's just a fantastic story. I knew bits and pieces of it, but, so there are a lot of PCOs and WCOs out there that are one-man operators and two-man operators that want to stay that way. And there's nothing at all wrong with staying that way. When I left Arrow Exterminators, I was with them for 6 years, 3 years as a termite inspector and pest control technician, and then went into sales for 3 years. And then spent 3 years, 100% commission sales, no base pay, no paid holidays, no nothing. So I did that for 3 years, great education. And then I went out on my own, as a one man with a spray can. And then three of my really good friends over there, we all left within a 24-month period and started our own businesses. And a couple of us, really made the choice to grow our businesses. I wanted to grow my business. I wanted to have I had envisioned that thing where I had people out there crawling under houses and in attics and killing the bugs and taking care of my customers. And I was networking at the Chamber of Commerce or having a business meeting on a golf course or, working a business deal in a bass boat. And that's kind of the vision that I had. It wasn't so much about money as it was about freedom to do what I wanted to do. So
that's a great point.
Two of us did that, but two of the other guys chose to remain one-man operators for, they have been for the past 25 years. And so, and they've done well. I'm sure it's lucrative, and they never wanted the hassle of employees or workman's comp or any of that stuff. They just wanted to be good, solid, have a good, solid route that paid them a good living. And that's, how they say people with children sitting across the restaurant from people who don't have any children, and they sit at each other, look at each other, and they envy each other.
So it was kind of that thing. But I've never heard that before, but I like it.
Or some people say, and they feel sorry for each other, or they envy each other. Either one. But bottom line, there are people out there that don't want to stay one-man operators or two-man operators. They want to build a business that they can, put a few good years into, and maybe 10 years, maybe 20 years, and then they want somebody to write them a check for $1 million or $2 or $3 million or more.
Right.
And so for that person, that one two-man operator who is out there and, working in the business and putting in those 11, 12-hour days, 6 days a week, that has a vision of growing their business, a dream, a hope, a prayer of growing their business. What would you say is the biggest mindset change, the biggest obstacle they're going to have to overcome to get their business into to not just be a bug guy, but to be a businessman and make that business grow?
Well, that's a great question. I had a real wise operator here in town who has a knack for growing businesses up to about $1 million and sells them and does very, very well and good, honest service. It's not the, sell and burn kind of thing. And he said, Jerry, with every level you hit, say the $100,000 level, and then let's say 300,000 is the next level, and then 5. Every single one brings with it a new set of problems, a new set of challenges, and a new mindset. So I'm of the opinion, an operator really has a viable business to go. Once you start hitting maybe about 140, that's when you're looking at hiring someone. But you've got to get over that fear that hiring someone is going to cost you, because that's the wrong attitude. If you feel like it's going to cost you, you'll never do it. You'll never pull the trigger. So you've got to look at it like it's an investment in my business. And yes, it's going to take extra hard work on your part, but your work will now shift. Get out of that behind the wheel and, don't have the snap trap in your hand so much. Do like Hal was saying, get in that bass boat, do some marketing, join a BNI, join, whatever, and start doing that kind of work, which is just as hard. I mean, it's sometimes even more brutal. And find someone you can trust and put them in there and let them go. Now, I'm leaving out a whole bunch of stuff. Maybe you need a little nest egg, so you can have an income coming in or an extra backup source. Or like for me, my wife was a full-time nurse. And so we had that as a backup. But like I said, I was so slow in customer acquisition, partly because I was always of a tech mind and never of an owner mind. And it wasn't until I switched and that, and decided to grow. And my first guy I hired was $9 an hour. And it changed overnight. And then I started moving to that second plateau where there would be a second set of challenges awaiting me. But that would be one big piece of advice I would give, Hal.
Yeah, you don't just change from technician to full-time office guy.
No,
one hire. It's that first hire takes a little burden off of you, but then you got to start building up that second one to help pay the bills. And so you got to keep that profit margin in there. And then the second person you hire takes more of the burden off you. So the more people you hire, the less bugs you have to physically kill yourself.
Amen.
And
going along with that too is you really need to know your numbers. So you need to know how much you need to make. Is your hourly rate 125? Is it 85? And that's something you really have to nail down, and it'll make your decisions a lot more clear. And it's a pain in the butt. I'm not a mathematician, but when I sat down and did my numbers, it cleared up a whole lot of goals for me and made me more laser focused. Yeah,
you need to be part of what Napoleon Hill calls a mastermind group. Yes, or have board of advisors. You need mentors. I told one guy, I said, you're going to need several mentors. You're going to need a banker mentor. Mm-hmm. You're going to need a lawyer mentor, and you're going to need a spiritual mentor.
Oh, good.
And these are the things, and a technical mentor. And, a lot of places like Pest Cemetary or like manufacturers, all have some absolutely unbelievable technical people on the staff who are willing to talk to you any day, any time, and give you technical information. As a matter of fact, I was telling a guy the other day, I said, every company needs to put together a little list that says board of advisors, and it can be college professors and technical people, and you put that on your website. Show it to your customers. So we had a board of advisors here. We had 3, and people love to be on a board of advisors. If anybody asked me to, I wouldn't heartbeat. So it's like it's really resources now that you have organized, and you start to look at and realize I can take advantage of these for information, and my customers are going to love it. That if I don't know the answer to something, look at my board of advisors I have here to turn to.
That's awesome. I didn't have a board of advisors in 2003 or 1993, whenever I was.
But the big thing is people jump out there and they think they know what to do. And it's not that they're not smart, and it's not that they're not inventive and creative and all, but there's so much that they don't know about running and growing a business. But there are people that can tell you, they can answer your questions. They say, here's what you need to do, and here's how you do this now, and now you're going to be ready for your next one. So I would encourage anybody that wants to grow your business and your 1 or 2 man operation, get a board of advisors, get a group that you can meet with, that you can pick up the phone anytime and call that person and ask whether it's a financial question, whether it's a legal question, whether it's about motivation and spirituality, or whether it's about taxes or technical questions. You just, all those people need to be a phone call away at all times.
And now here's a word from our sponsor.
Google Pest Control. Marketing. Grow your business like never before. Call 770-993-0004.
Did you hear that? That is a jingle. But more than that, it is an audio logo and what I call a marketing earworm. But you know, that's a bug, that's a worm you want in your local market on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and podcasts like you're listening to right now. Yes, you should do a podcast as a PCO, but we'll talk about that another time. You want your market singing Google your name, what you do, and your phone number. Simple, but it works. If you want to cash in on this marketing bonanza, go to pestcontrolmarketingjingles.com to learn more. Or just call me, Mike Stewart, at 770-826-3662, or call Hal Coleman at 770-993-0004. And we would love to show you how to do what we call search and call advertising with earworms. And oh yeah, it works on that old-timey technology of radio and television. Why don't you call us today and learn more?
Google Pest Control. Marketing. Grow your business like never before. Call 770-993-0004.
I love that advice. I'm going to look. I'm going to look into that.
Yeah, well, you know, it's just take advantage of all the information that's out there. You know, I was born, and you were born, and everybody listening to this was born with absolutely zero information in our heads.
That's right.
And zero experience, and everything we do now, we learn. Some people like to learn by trial and error and keeping their nose to the grindstone, and other people, like me, I learned to be this way, and I'm this way now. Is like, why would I want to spend an hour trying to figure that out when I can just pick up the phone and call Fred, and he'll tell me exactly what to do?
Yeah, amen. And that's a little bit of how the group is. You know, that I think that's what is part of the allure. It's kind of a pseudo board of advisors for sure.
Yeah, it is, and what a great resource. But anyway, so back to that struggling 1-2-man operation, the one that's what else can you tell us that they need to, because I know we could talk about this forever, but I want this to come from Jerry Schappert, not from Hal Coleman. And because I want to squeeze all I can out of you while I got you on here.
There you go. That's fine. I love to help in any way I can. I really love what you said about a spiritual advisor or somebody motivating you. And I think that's really important because there are so many. I can think back of so many dark and lonely nights where I'm lying in bed wondering how I'm going to pay the mortgage. This is in the early days. And, do I have enough gas to get across town? And will that lady pay me in cash so I have gas to go back? And there were so many different things that I was unsure of. And I did not have the board of advisors, but I did have a couple of people, and maybe God put them in my way, out at a little convenience store somewhere. I'd run into Chuck from Apple Pest Control, and he was a legend in this town. And he would always take time to talk to me and motivate me, but I didn't have Chuck on speed dial. I didn't even have a cell phone back then. But as time went on and I got a network of people, it's easier now that I can lean on somebody for a little bit of motivation, because the only thing I know how I'm like that old school nose to the grindstone is persistence. Persistence will never lose. If you're persistent long enough, you will break through. But dadgummit, do you have to have, some help along the way, someone to, put their hand on your shoulder. And for me, it was my wife. My children were awesome. And then I had a couple of friends here and there, and I just kept going. So reach out. And one great thing about the group, not to keep bringing it back up, but that has fostered a lot of those relationships. So I guess that's also goes along with the board of advisors. And, someone you can call across town. You know what that lady did to me? Don't sweat it, Billy. Go on, you need something like that because there will be a lot of dark and lonely days. And the other thing, to get to your second level, as Hal alluded to, you gotta hire that second guy. You really got to free yourself up. And I was big on goals. I was super big on numbers. And they were always low numbers, and I just didn't have the confidence in myself or whatever. Sit down with someone like Hal, I'm sure would do this, or some of the other business leaders in our industry, to get realistic, just barely not attainable, but they are attainable goals, and figure out how you're going to get to them. And you really got to stick to those. Because otherwise, the dark days will get you. If you don't have a board of advisors, you're relying on yourself, and you won't pick yourself up, and that goal will slip away. And then it's really no longer a goal. It's really no longer a target. It's just a source of anger, and I couldn't make it. And boy, I tell you, is it true still, Hal, that the most businesses go out of business in the first 5 years, and 1 out of 3 or something like that? And that just shouldn't be.
82% of businesses that start up don't make it to the end of the third year.
And that kills me in pest control. So, when someone starts new here, I try to reach out and get them in the group, and then give them my phone number. And I've got several that speed dial me all the time, little pictures, say, what's this? Or what would you do here? And I don't mind. It's a big town. They'll probably cross my path somewhere, but who cares?
You probably got guys that text you a picture and say, what's this? You say, oh, that's a mangrove snapper. Right?
Yes. Yesterday I had 2 or 3 pictures like that. And, and this guy doesn't know all of the different bugs. He's new into it. So I'm reaching out and trying to help where in the old days where maybe I didn't have so much. But goal setting and goal achieving is really good. I forget the acronym. SMART goals are going to be, measurable and attainable and all that. And I guess you'd have to Google what that acronym was. But I always try to set goals that I know I can hit, but I got to work to hit them.
Yeah. Plan your work and work your plan. That's an old saying, and that's just so. You wouldn't say I'm going to build a house on this acre here and have a bulldozer come in and clear out the place for the house and have somebody come found a concrete slab. And then you just say, well, I'm going to call the supply house, tell them to bring a bunch of lumber and plywood out here and some cases of nails, and I'm going to start building me a house. And you got no blueprint. You had no architect draw this thing up. And you're just going to start planning it as you go and hammering things up. And boy, what are you going to end up with? What kind of house, Yeah,
definitely. And in the end, maybe it's livable, maybe it's not, but it's not a good foundation.
Yeah. And planning, looking at the end before you begin. And people a lot of times that tell me they want to go into pest control business, I say, why do you want to go into it? Do you want to go into it to, what's your purpose? Let's talk about how you're going to get out of it and when you're going to get out of it. I want to build a $1 million business or $2 million business that I can retire. Okay, well, here's what you have to do. Or they say, I just want to get a business going and I don't want to work too hard anymore, but I want to let my son or my daughter take it over and they can take on off with it. And I just kind of want to ease on out, Okay, then that's another thing. So, or I just want to build up I'd like to have $180,000 route and just be me and no employees. Okay, well, that's another thing, Right. So you gotta have the end in mind as you do with a house. You got to be able to look at a house and say that's a house I want right there. So I'm going to go to Google and order the house plans for that house. And
well, then you've got a plan, and you can move forward, and everything is set. And if one day you fall behind, you still have the plan, and you can keep on marching on. I think there's a lot of strength in those words.
Yeah, and you got to know who to listen to. You know, no matter who you are, if you go in business for yourself and you start struggling, you're going to have some of those people who come along and say, you don't need to do this. This is never going to work.
Right.
Why don't you just get rid of these headaches and go get you a good job somewhere so you don't have to deal with all this stuff that's keeping you away. You got the naysayers out there, you know,
sir.
and then you've got the for lack of a better word, the brother-in-law out there who's never been in the pest control business in his life, never owned a business in his life, but he's going to sit down and tell you how to do this business and how to be successful.
Yeah, ran into a lot of those over the years, a lot of those.
So you got to know who to listen to and who not to listen to, because in a lot of cases, we just listen to the wrong, we're looking for that information, but we listen to the wrong person without really putting a lot of thought into it, you know. And so it's all about having information and knowing what to do with that information when you get it, you know, knowing how to apply it and how to incorporate it into your business to move your business forward. But
a common theme in what we're talking about here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's having someone else's eyes on what you're doing. And, you know, that sounds like, you know, with the board of trustees and someone to lean on. And then what you were just saying, and that kind of plays right in with what you do, being a coach. You know, I think sometimes people are afraid to be coached, like, oh, he's just going to take some of my business, or, you know, I don't need a boy, the most successful people in the world have coaches, and
Tiger Woods has a golf coach, you know, and Tom Brady has a quarterback coach, and you know, Brad Pitt has an acting coach.
He needs one.
It's like, well, that's a matter of debate, I'm sure there.
I'm just jealous of the guy.
It's like if anybody's played a sport. People ask me about my coaching, and I say, well, look, if you play golf, and you play golf once a week for 20 years, and you listen to all the 4 people that you play golf with about how to play a better game of golf, and you keep doing the same thing and listen to what they tell you, they probably know better than you are. And at the end of 20 years, you're not going to be any better than you were 20 years ago. But if you, I was going to get a new set of golf clubs one time. I don't play much anymore, but I used to play some. And I was playing with a foursome, and I didn't know this one guy who was in the group, but we got to know each other real quick, and we were having a good time. And I said, I'm going to get some new golf clubs. These are old clubs. I said, and they were given to me when they were old clubs. But the guy bought a new set of clubs, gave me these. Now, I've been playing with them for 10 years, and I need some new clubs, you know, because I heard there's all this technology and everything's better. And the guy said, well, let me tell you, he said, when I grew up, he said, we lived on a golf course, and my dad was the golf pro at that golf course the whole time I was a kid growing up. Till I left home, my dad was a golf coach. He said, my dad would tell you to take the money that you're planning on spending on that new set of golf clubs and go spend that money on coaching from a golf pro. And he said, your game will skyrocket. He said, it's not in the clubs. He said, my dad could take one of those clubs there that you say are no good, and he could hit the ball 325 yards as straight as a rope. So he can prove that it's not the club. And he said, but take the money you're going to spend on clubs and spend it on golf coaching. And I pass that along. I translate that to my clients a lot. I say, take the money you were planning on spending on advertising and spend it on coaching to learn how to create advertising that works, and you'll create advertising that works for the rest of your entire life. Your game will change, and you take that information with you forever, you know. But
that's fantastic.
But they think, you know, you got to know where to spend the money, you know.
Right.
And you
Well, I
got to
remember down in Orlando when you did the presentation and you went all through the yellow pages, and you translated it because yellow pages are not as great as they once were.
not the same as
I've
your
been
website.
using those lessons ever since, and my advertising's gone. I actually use the word exterminator now, and proudly so. And we are kicking some major butt in my little town of Summerfield here. Beating all the big boys.
There you go. Yeah. So it's just seeing an idea and if you believe it works, and if there's a social proof there that this works, then all you got to do is take it and go apply it. And but you know how many people out of 100 actually do that?
Don't know.
2. I mean, people. It's just a lot. I know. I roll cigars, handmade cigars. That's one of my hobbies that I do. I like a cigar every now and then, but I got into cigar rolling a few years ago, and I can roll a really, really nice premium long leaf cigar now. And I'll give one to somebody. They say, you roll this yourself? Yeah. Where'd you get well, I order the leaves from a leaf wholesaler from an auction house, and I get the leaves and I trim. I do the whole thing. I just get bundles of leaves, and here's what I got. Man, I'd like to do that. Can you show me how to do that? Yeah, I can show you how to do it. Can't show you in 1 day or 2 days. I can get you started, but by the time you've rolled 1,000 cigars, you'll be able to roll a fairly decent cigar. And they're like, oh, maybe I'll just keep buying them.
Yeah.
And so people, and listen, I'm not preaching to anybody because I'm exactly the same way.
Yep.
I've always been that way. People, I see all these things I would love to do. I would love to know how to do. And then I sit back and I say, but man, I'd love to know how to play the violin real well, but I know that how much work it would take for that to happen. So I guess I'll go to my grave saying, I wish I'd have learned how to play the violin.
I'll have a violinist there at the ceremony, and we'll play the Ides of Johnny Boy or something.
There you go. But anyway, so this has been really a cool conversation, and I don't think we've even scratched the surface. So can we do this again sometime?
Oh, I would. I'd be thrilled to do it. It'd be fantastic, and maybe love to have you come on down for the Pest Cemetary beach party or something. We can do it live.
Hey, wouldn't that be fun? And, but we'd have to. I couldn't talk good with a mask on.
We're not too worried about it around here. We'll take you.
I told somebody, I said, people, when I go to the supermarket once a week, I said, they social distance. They don't come within 20 feet of me. That's why I said, because for some reason, they don't like my Zorro mask.
Oh, I see. Wow. Yeah, I might go to the potato chip aisle myself for a while.
Well, listen, if somebody wanted to, I know don't you have training available through Pest Cemetary, like a Pest Cemetary University?
Yeah, it's called Pest Cemetary Pro. Thank you for bringing that up. It's an online subscription course or a la carte. You can go and view our webinar we did, podcasts, a lot of training videos. I think I have, oh goodness, if I say 150 hours, I'm probably low of just all the training. And what I like about it, Hal, and for your listeners, it's real stuff. It's me with a shaky handheld camera up under a house showing you how fire ants are doing their thing and getting in and what we need to do to eradicate them or, steer them another way. And it's a labor of love. I really love it. It's called Pest Cemetary Pro. Just click on. It's a 14-day free trial, and you can pick your level of subscription, everything to all the videos, everything I do, or just the webinars alone, or just the testing site. And that's where everybody is taking tests, reading an article, and then finally, they get a certificate. So right there on the right, if you'll see that Pest Cemetary Pro logo, Hal, yeah, right there. Yeah. There you go. And that's where you click it up, and there I am. So the magic of the internet. And, I've been very blessed with it. We've got a real good response. Customers are loving it, and they give me requests on different subjects.
I looked at it. It's awesome.
We're real excited. And, we're redoing a lot of the look and redoing some of the older videos. And it's just been a fantastic thing. And the sharing has been great. Folks like yourself, Daniel D. Dye, entomologists that are just crazy smart, are coming and wanting to do webinars or wanting to do presentations. And I'm like, really? And it's just fantastic. So really, really happy, really, really blessed.
It's awesome. Now, let me ask you another question. You don't actually really hang around with Daniel D. Dye, do you?
I would hang around with that guy every single day if I could, but he's about 61 miles away. Believe me, I've stalked him.
Oh, I tell you, I love what he does. He's one of my heroes too. He's him
and his wife are just salt of the earth.
Just his posts and everything, and I've only actually met him face to face a couple of times, and I felt like I already knew him. What a great guy.
Yes.
So if somebody wanted to get in touch with you to go a little deeper with you on some of this stuff, you want to give us the contact information, or is that all?
They can log into www.pestcemetarypro, all one word, all E's, no A in there, pestcemetarypro.com. And there's a contact button there. You can read the about. You can peruse all the different categories. And if you wanted to, you can just send me an email. The best email really is bugdoctor@embarkmail.com. That's bugdoctor, all one word. Embark is EMBARQ, mail, MAIL.com. The Pest Cemetary Pro, for some reason, keeps it might be a day before I get it. So, but you can, the contact is right there on the site. And of course, you can message me on Facebook. I'm easy to find there and always respond. So, we have a store in that. There's a couple of my books, you name it. We're real excited about the future, and I'm real excited about people like yourself and so many others who are, taking part in helping all this grow. And it's just been a great labor of love for us.
Well, it sure has been a great labor of love for me to have you on here today, and it's been fun. And we're gonna kind of wind it up here. But will you do this again with us?
I will. I absolutely will. Would love to do it. And just about anything. I know the corona kind of set us back, but the plans you and I talked about before are still in the back of my mind.
Yep. Mine too. And so thank you for being with us and sharing your great wisdom and all the good stuff you've done. And folks, if you want to get in touch with me to talk about my coaching program, I'll give you an hour session free of charge. We'll go over all your marketing. I'll send you a little questionnaire to fill out, and when I get it back, that's so I don't have to spend the hour asking you 100 questions. But we'll find some low-hanging fruit for you and get you some good direction, and it won't cost you a penny. And you can call me at 770-993-0004. You can do the same thing with Mike Stewart if you want to talk about your online presence, online marketing strategies, videos, jingles. Mike will be happy to talk with you. You can reach him at 770-826-3662. He'll be happy to speak with you anytime. And Mike, just by chance, are you with us here still?
I am so impressed with the two of you guys. I mean, two bug guys that really know their stuff. So, Jerry, that beach party y'all talked about a few minutes ago, I'm getting in the car and heading to Florida right now.
Hey, you are more than welcome. I just got some jet skis, and we need to break them in.
Come by here and pick me up, Mike.
All right, I'll pick you up.
I'm right on the way.
You know, Jerry, we'll bring our guitars. We'll play we'll play music. And I'll tell you what, I am a jet ski expert. Hell, tell you that. In fact, that's one of the things I love doing. Music, internet, grandkids, jet skis, the lake, the ocean, and because of Hal Coleman, marketing killing bugs is my business.
Well, there you go. There you go. It only took me a half an hour of having jet skis to have FWC pull me over and almost write me $300 worth of fines. So I might need some of your, I might bend your ear a little bit about jet skis.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's start Jet Ski Cemetery.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That might carry a different connotation. But listen, guys, it's been fun. And we'll stick around a few minutes after we're done. But folks, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I hope you learned something, as always, to take away to help you grow and be bigger and better at what you do with yourself and your business. And so until next time, thank you for watching or for listening to this episode of the Pest Control Marketing Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Pest Control Marketing Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast in iTunes and on your phones and in Stitcher on your Android. But more importantly, go to our website, pestcontrolmarketingpodcast.com. Subscribe to our email list to always be notified of new episodes. You're never going to want to miss what we've got coming up next, and you never know what we're going to be able to do to help you with your pest control marketing.